whether it's Djokovic right now, Alcaraz, who everybody can't wait to bet. I mean, is it basically just them two, or is there anything worth investing in a Medvedev, or, where is the drama going to lie here in Wimbledon?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, there are 1.5 players that can win the men's Wimbledon, which is insane.
Who's the half?
Alcaraz. like
just
something,
like the Raz part.
Just
is it the Alca part or the Raz part? Which guy can win?
The Alcaraz, man. You didn't see he won the Queen's tournament. Alcaraz brings home the giant trophy, wins his first grass title, which is cool. And he's getting like the very first reps of his entire career on grass, and so it's tough to say, well, how do you take, you're learning how to play on a given surface and given conditions, and then transfer that into championship, particularly when you're going to have to probably go through the greatest grass player of our lifetimes, Novak Djokovic, who's, by the way, Djokovic has not lost to anyone on grass who is currently on tour.
Wow,
that's like the last time he's lost to Sam Querrey,
Yeah,
well at Wimbledon, I should say. I haven't checked ever. I'm sure he has some random weird outlier losses.
Welsh tennis tournament when he was like 18 or something. Yeah.
But even those players are they're all out, right? That's all, they've all aged out. He's lost Wimbledon to like the likes of Sam Querrey, who's retired. Cilic is retired, or not retired, but not playing right now. And so really there's just this huge kind of gap of no one really coming up behind him with grass quality, and so that's why the odds are just outsized in favor of Djokovic. Now, all that said, I'm starting to build up a little bit of an appetite to take on these prices, particularly if we see something outrageous in a final against the likes of an Alcaraz. Alcaraz certainly has the skill set to thrive on grass in the long term after he kind of gets his feet under him. And, considering how burned everyone got in the French Open semifinal where, it was one-way action, Alcaraz market wide, there's a chance that you could get an overreaction the other way and you could get a pretty awesome price on Alcaraz in just a head-to-head against Djokovic. I don't think there's any reason to take plus 300 right now on Alcaraz. I think you can literally just sit there and wait and see if he does kind of figure it out, because that's probably going to be close to the price you're going to get head-to-head in a final against Djokovic.
Based on that answer, I'm like, I don't know how he's going to lose, based on just literally that 3 minutes that you just gave. Will you be entering the U.S. Open being like, now is the time where like finally someone will step up and beat him? Like, really, I think we have to get really macro here because it sounds like Wimbledon stinks from a betting standpoint. Is this like you want Djokovic to win handily because then the U.S. Open hard court season's like way more wide open, or Djokovic just wins like literally the Grand Slam for this year, which would be pretty incredible at his age? What do you think?
Yeah, he's very live to win the Grand Slam. I will say that pretty clearly the conditions at Flushing Meadows are the worst for him of any of the 4 majors. People will look at his win-loss record at Roland Garros and say clay is his worst surface. I will always go to bat that his worst of the 4 slams is the U.S. Open, because in general, the heat and humidity that time of year doesn't necessarily play into his strengths at all. And in general, you get to that part of the calendar, and usually he has been playing more tennis than everyone else, times an order of magnitude, just because he's playing so deep into all these tournaments. He's ground himself into a pulp, and so he's a little bit vulnerable when you get to that stage. Now, he has not been playing nearly as much tennis this year at all. Like, he's literally just been saving it up for the slams. He did not play Windy and Wells or Miami because of still COVID rules, and he hasn't really been playing a ton of warm-ups or in-betweeners here at all on tour. So he's pretty fresh. And unless we see him kind of play through a tougher path in Wimbledon where he's going deeper into matches and he scrapes through and he maybe aggravates an elbow injury or something like that, like, I don't know that there's a really strong reason to take him on even at the U.S. Open, even though that's where he is the weakest. In general, some of the young players tend to kind of may have their big breakouts at the U.S. Open, like Alcaraz did last year, largely on the basis of people are tired, people are hurt, and youth can prevail to the degree that at least you have a little bit better chance. At the U.S. Open, I'm holding some Holger Rune tickets. I think he is the breakout guy this year, if there is a breakout guy. But that said, I'm going to need someone else to do some serious damage to Djokovic's legs to really see some serious angle there to bet against him.
But here I have Drew Dinsick basically telling me it's 1.5 people that can win an entire field in Wimbledon. Yeah. And Novak Djokovic is listed as a minus 155 favorite. I understand that that's juice, But we're not talking about, like you're talking about Omar, minus 5,000 for the Vezina as it closed at.
Yeah.
Don't those odds seem a little like, I know they're not in the positive. I know they're not even money, but it almost feels like too good to be true not to bet a hefty amount to kind of get your half payout back on.
It's men's tennis it's been in like a really weird place for a long time from a betting standpoint, I feel like, I look like the Australian Open, I'm kind of paying attention, but there's a lot of stuff going on. French is always the one I pay the least attention to. I watch like every match. I think Wimbledon's awesome. I actually think it's like a really fun sporting event to watch. It also occurs during a time of the year, like next week, when there's you think hockey awards and College World Series tonight is stressful? Well, good. Those go away. There's nothing next week when Wimbledon's going on. There's absolutely nothing.
And for us, Wimbledon's early, which is nice. You're not up late at night watching it.
Yeah. East Coast, like I'm on vacation. Like I'm usually July 4th week. I'm with my in-laws. My mother-in-law really likes to watch Wimbledon. My wife will watch Wimbledon. Like we'll have our breakfast, like coffee, like I'm like 6 with the kids. We'll throw on a match in the morning and then we'll like go work out, whatever. It's like part of that holiday routine for us. So I really like it as a viewing event, but as a betting event, and this has been true for a long time, look, like tennis. How do you think golf bettors felt when Tiger Woods was even money to win tournaments? In golf, by the way, a sport where like you'll never find someone less than like usually 5-1. Like John Rahm was 3-1 at whatever that was, a tournament in Central America, the Mexico Open, I think, something like that. Right. And it was like that was like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing ever. And usually the favorite to win a golf tournament's like 10-1 or 15-1 or 8-1 or something like that. Like in the majors, like Scheffler will go off at like 8. And people think it's like, wow, that's prohibitively low. Okay, well, like golf went through an era where their best player was like so much lower than that to win tournaments. It's like not even funny. And I think it made it, okay, maybe it wasn't a bad betting event. It was a different kind of a betting event where you were having a conversation about like, okay, is Tiger going to win the tournament or is Tiger not going to win the tournament? Like, which one is it? And tennis is exiting an era. It's like about to be done whenever Djokovic is done, where like you never wanted to bet the 4th guy or the 5th guy or even the 3rd guy sometimes to win a Grand Slam, because these guys are just like golf, tennis is exiting at the era when the best players of all time all played together, just like golf just had their best player of all time in his era. So like, when you have the best of all time playing now, especially in an individual sport with which both of these are, like when Brady played, his teams were still at least 8-1 or 5-1 or something. This isn't like that. So this is like the end of that, because Djokovic is the only one left. There are very few players that have emerged to challenge him. Alcaraz is like one of the only ones, and he's really young still. And so, it becomes like, I guess this word applies, but like I like watching, boring would kind of be the word that I would use. Like where it's okay. Like, I think he's going to win too. I mean, I'll still watch, and I'm still like, kind of like amused, but I think this is what this is like.
But it's also boring if you have no juice on it. Now, I'm not advocating anybody to tell you anything is free money, because
you're
if
saying
we learned
like,
anything in the betting world,
because like, how is he going to lose? Basically, that's like kind of what.
I guess my point would be, and again, I am not advising anybody to do this, but based on the conversation we just had and me being a complete novice to the sport, and basically hearing how it's going to be boring because he's just going to win the thing, I'm sorry, this isn't minus 250; it's minus 155. Why would I not take $310, throw it in a pot, and just make $150 in a month? Like, why would I not do that?
But what I can tell you is, okay, like if you like Djokovic or any favorite of this, whatever price range or caliber or whatever, and they make this is sort of similar to Florida in the College World Series. Florida didn't also like the bet is aging really well. Florida's got 1 game left. They literally win the title. They were 9-1, 950, depending on where you went before the tournament. So this is going really well. And you give yourself options. They didn't have to play LSU too. They could have played some bad school. And now I'm like, I wouldn't have hedged at all. Like they played, who's on that side that was bad? Stanford. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna bet Stanford. Like, no way. Like I would think Florida's more likely probably than the market in the games to win those games. And like Stanford made no sense. And so like, you don't always even have to get the thing you want. So like, okay, if Djokovic plays like some random lucky happy to be there guy in the final, cool. Like don't do anything. Whatever. Djokovic will be minus 1,000. Take your chances. Maybe he loses, maybe he doesn't, but you're in pretty good shape. If he plays Alcaraz, bet Alcaraz to get your money back. Like just bet. So let's say you bet $20 on Djokovic, whatever. We'll use like simple dollar amounts. Okay. Let's say Alcaraz 3-1 in the final. at least bet like $7 on Alcaraz so that if Alcaraz wins, you like got the whole sweat. You didn't lose any money, whatever. And if Djokovic wins, great. Like you just give yourself some options sometimes. If you do now, again, like I would never tell someone to bet Djokovic. I don't know anything about what the pricing is supposed to be in this tournament. Maybe he's supposed to be minus 800. Maybe he's supposed to be plus 500. I have no idea. But in these situations, if you're considering that bet, that's also part of it too. Like everybody hates hedging now and thinks like people are stupid for doing it on these like tickets and stuff. And I just, maybe I'm getting lamer as I get older. I think I'm getting smarter. And I don't hedge every ticket that I've had. I didn't full hedge Olmark, mostly because it was impossible. Right. Like I'd have to, like visit loan sharks to get this amount of money down. And, but in a bunch of situations, at least like you have the option and it's okay to exercise I know Tyler writes in the chat, Tyler never hedges anything. And I'm sure there are people that are like, well, you got this, like you made a really good bet, just like stick it out. And that's like the right thing to do.
No.
That's not me with a lot of these stuff with championships or with tournaments or anything that has like a multi-way futures market, an award. In most situations, I'm actually really happy to get to the end of the year and I win no matter who wins. And I win no matter who wins the award because I've planned this correctly. So there's different approaches.